literally get it there, get it to Harrods. Like the other day, I was working on an egg for a customer as well, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, Harrods are missing out. That's why I caught myself saying that. I would never say that, but I'm like, oh my God, Harrods are missing out. I need to, I need to, yeah, do this, push this. Harrods are missing out.
Today we're talking to Sheeba from Hatchfully Yours, and if you don't know who she is right now, go down below, look at the description and check out her incredible egg artistry. She is very exquisite in what she does and very specific. In today's episode, she discusses the fact that she went through many years and thousands of pounds worth of studying to become an animator with a view to work for Pixar and all the big organisations like that. And actually, due to a personal tragedy, she changed her complete career path forever in a split second. Absolutely fascinating conversation. Before we get into our episode, if you're watching today, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to give our channel a subscribe, we would love you forever. And in the comments below, I would love to know if you've ever gone through something similar to Sheeba in terms of studying for something or working towards something and actually at last minute changing your mind. I would love to know in the comments. Let's get to it. So, Sheeba, my love, thank you so very much for being with us today. Are you okay?
I'm excited to be here.
We're very excited to have you. We're very excited to have you. Now, every single episode, we start with the same question because it's quite exciting to see everyone's faces go, how do I answer that?
How do I answer
So
that?
the question, Sheeba, is what is it that you're trying to achieve right now?
Smiles on people's faces when they get one of my pieces, my eggs.
That's a really lovely answer. I wasn't expecting that one.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't. I was expecting something about business growth and life and this and everything else. But actually, when you what you're trying to achieve is smiles on people's faces when they unwrap your egg or open it. Then we probably need to explain the egg part in a moment, by the way, because you're clearly not a chicken if anyone is watching. I think that's grassroots, simple. I just want to make people happy. Isn't that nice?
That's it.
So Sheeba, would you call you're a creative, right?
Yes.
Would you call yourself a creative or a business person or both?
A creative business person.
Okay. I love that as well. I love that. So
can we just cover off the egg thing? Because if there are people listening or watching who don't know Sheeba, Sheeba does do something very, very cool. And as much as this is about your life and what got you to this point, I think this is absolutely worth a couple of seconds explaining what you do, which obviously you're going to explain because it's just so amazing. So can you just explain what you do, please?
So I am a luxury wedding gift designer and an egg artist who hand carves real eggshells into very beautiful and intricate sculptures that make for unusual gifts for special occasions, for weddings, for occasions all year round, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Emily, grab ours quickly because we do have one. And
I don't know if I could trust myself to move it.
It's worth getting. Hang fire. So, the bit I want to explore today, Sheeba, as Emily's getting our egg to show anyone who's watching this, is what got you here? Because we actually know some of your past. We know. There we go. It's a Circus designed, and we know kind of some of what you've done in your life. But I don't know why you now carve eggs and why you run your own business. So that's the bit I'm super, super keen to explore. There we go. It is gorgeous. We genuinely love it. It sits behind us. So can we go back to the very beginning? Did you always want to run your own business?
I hadn't thought of it as a child, and it came to me quite late in life. But I was born to parents who had their own business, so we come from a family business. And watching them growing up, and the freedom that comes with it has always been a part of me and been with me, even if I worked and did jobs and stuff. So yeah, that was somewhere in my subconscious, even if I didn't think that that's what I wanted to do straight away.
See, the more I have these conversations, the more I keep thinking about when we're growing up, what is normal in our world. You know, Emily grew up and her parents were running their own business. You know, you've grown up and your parents were running your own business. So therefore it just becomes a normal thing for you to explore and to do. I know we're not meant to use the word normal, but you know what I mean. It's just something that you can do. Familiar. Yeah. So I find that fascinating. And then it's like, it's not a big move for you to suddenly run your own business.
Yeah, it's coming to the point that you just said, that's the normal that you grow up with and you're familiar with. Um, it is familiar, but then because it's familiar, you take it for granted, and
Mm.
that's where like my father was running his own business and mum as well, but uh, dad always wanted me to follow in his footsteps. And at the time, I was more passionate about, going my own way, learning animation, wanting to work for Pixar, DreamWorks, really wanting to learn the art form. And I studied, did double masters in animation, went for postgraduate diploma in animation from a school in California, did all of that. And it was not until quite later when a tragedy hit when my father passed away that it hit me
Oh,
suddenly
sorry.
that yeah, thanks. But it's not until that time in life when it hit me that it's a switch that flicked, that I didn't want to animate suddenly, but I was so passionate about it, and I did get an opportunity working for games. But as soon as that happened, there was a switch in me that flicked that I don't want to animate anymore, and it just went 360 degrees the opposite. And that's where I was like, yeah, I want my own business because that's what he wanted for me always. And that's somewhere that came in the forefront from my subconscious. But at that time, I didn't know what it would be. But yeah, I'd seen both sides of the table, basically working for someone and working on your own business. So
Yeah.
by then I'd done it both. So I did want to go back to what he had and what my parents had.
Something you just touched on there, Sheba, and I don't think you always give yourself credit for, because you've learnt your craft and you've gone 2 feet into learning your craft, but you're very 2 feet into your studies, whatever you're doing as well. So you've just kind of just casually dropped into conversation.
I did think it
My
was
double
very.
masters, blah.
I did a master's in
But
animation.
that's incredible. I mean, if you're going to go and learn something, go and learn to the top of your craft, right?
True, absolutely. I believe in whatever I do it wholeheartedly, 100%. Yeah, even if it's a job you don't want to do, but you're doing it, just do it. Give it your 100%.
No, well, we know this. So we know one of your jobs, right? So which I'll let you say in a minute. But arguably, the retailer you worked for is top of the tree, right? Now I get they're local to you and things like this, but fundamentally, once again, you went, well, if I'm going to be in retail, I may as well go. Who did you work for?
So I worked for Harrods. Yeah, in the past, I worked for Harrods when I started off in retail. And that was another opportunity I had that paved the way to where I am today.
How so?
So when I was animating and for games, I was working on with a company in Luton. When I was out of projects contracts, I fell into retail because I thought I'll give it a chance, and got into Harrods for the Christmas stamp job. And I worked behind chocolates, fresh chocolates in the chocolate room.
Yes, best job in the world, working
Best
for
job, isn't
Harrods
it?
with
I know.
chocolate. Yeah.
True. So yeah, I did that, and I absolutely loved it. And I want to cut to that before that, a few years ago, like a couple of years before that, when we were getting married, me and my husband, I was looking for very unique gifts for special, for not special gifts, for the wedding, for my parents, his siblings and his parents, just us. And I was looking for something very unique, wanted to move away from hand carved jewelry or handbags, just literally wanted to move away. I didn't know what it would be, but it couldn't be wood, it couldn't be metal, it had to be something different, and I didn't know what it was. I was ready to sit with a crafts person to get that made, and kept looking, couldn't find anything. Internet had the same things, Etsy and all had the same things. And finally, we had time came and we had to settle on hand engraved bracelets for everyone. That sat in my subconscious since then, and life moved on. Got a job with animation, and then went into Harrods. Now, when I came into Harrods, working with fresh chocolates behind counters, we used to make big, huge hampers with beautiful ribbons and packaging, and that was where I thought, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to do something pretty with my own hands, but it has to be for the wedding industry because of the experience I had. But it has to be different where I couldn't find anything different. But it was not so that I was in the search of what it would be. It didn't happen like that. I just left it at that. I knew I wanted to do this and then continued with what I was doing as my day job. Things just came my way.
Well,
Yeah.
things just came my way. I don't think that. I think you paved this route. You know you were leading this adventure. You were making it happen. You know.
That's a great conversation about what you believe will happen because the world puts it out in front of you, and you take those, or actually making those opportunities. And
I think it was, yeah, it was manifestation as well. Like you wanted something and the path was laid. I didn't know it was eggs. I didn't even know at that time what it would be, but I knew all along it had to be a business, and I knew it just opened up. Things opened up slowly. Like I knew it had to be for the wedding industry or some occasions, and I had to make something with my hands. And then cut to a few years after. One Easter, I had families, neighbors, friends come over, and we were just, working on eggs, painting hard-boiled eggs. And when one of us were like just talking and had a banter and like, okay, let's try and empty an egg, a fresh eggshell, without even a hairline crack. And this was the time the internet didn't have how to do it. We tried everything from pins, needles, drill bits as well. Um, really tried it. Had a huge mess in the back garden. I still remember, in a bucket full of mess, stinky mess at that. But we couldn't do it, and we just carried on with the day, whatever. And but I couldn't stop. If I can't crack something. I can't rest in peace. I really need to find a way. And when I was looking and searching, I didn't find how to do it, but I found a lot of egg art, different types of egg art around the world, in Europe, China, from all the way from Paisanki, which is batik style beeswax painting on eggs, to carvings, to Fabergé inspired eggs as well. But it was a delicate carvings that caught my attention, and I was like, whoa, I wanted to challenge myself to do it. And at that time, it was not like I'm going to do something with it. It was just me challenging myself to do it, because I like challenging myself to do hard things. Um, and yeah, and there was no looking back since.
The thing is, I think you're being pretty dismissive about the route you've just been on, right? I'm not dismissive is the right, blasé, right? What I'm getting is you're unbelievably tenacious. You're striving for the best. You want to give the best. And as a sub note, I've just Googled egg art to the right here, and my mind's been blown, and I've entered a new world that I never knew existed before. I mean, I painted eggs. We got kids, right? We have Easter every year. We've painted eggs.
That's it, yeah.
But egg art is a whole different ball game, isn't it? But
There you go, yeah.
The thing I think you're blasé about is how these things have linked up. You know, you've done the animation. You've not got rid of the animation, because that's absolutely 100% there in the carvings and the creations you're creating. You know, and then you've got this time in Harrods that's set you up in this kind of luxury world that you go, actually, I want to be a part of the luxury world.
Yeah.
And then and then all of a sudden it's like tragedy in the family. Hi
in the background.
Hi in the background. Tragedy in the background, and it's like, actually, no, I do want to run my own business, and these stepping stones are there to take you into this unbelievable journey.
True.
We need to kind of unpick a little bit more as well in terms of you going 2 feet in, because not only have you created something very unique, and there are obviously other people who do similar, not the same as what you do, but you've taken your craft to another level, and you've managed to get on some quite exciting opportunity in terms of PR and television as well. That surely, again, just demonstrates your tenacity and the fact that you are so willing to grow yourself and put yourself out there, because as a creative, I imagine, I'm not one, so I would.
No, well, we're all creative. We've had this conversation before. Everyone is creative.
But in terms of it, you put yourself out for quite a lot of scrutiny, don't you? Because ultimately, art is subjective. People may or may not like what you do, and you've got to be able to have that kind of tough outer skin to say, well, you like it, you don't like it. It's up to you. But you put yourself on television.
Yeah,
T-
I was on Kirstie's Handmade Christmas channel so that was a great opportunity to be on that show. Um,
And don't get me,
yeah.
don't get, let me, it just happened. Or did you make it happen,
No,
Sheba?
that I made happen. I applied to it. I applied for it, and then luckily I was selected. So that was amazing.
ha-
Yeah. How was that? Because
how did
that's,
it make how did it work? How do you find that experience helped your business?
It's given more eyes on my business for sure. It helps me with it just helps me wherever I go. Like getting more business, but also just getting eyes on my work, whether it's exhibitions I've done after that, or I'm approaching shops and stuff I'm liaising with shops to have these eggshells in small independent stores and stuff. So that these are opportunities that do help.
can we just cover off what actually happened? Because we know what happened, and because we've watched it. But
Oh,
actually, because you were in the height of a timed competition, weren't you? At the end of the
yeah, it
episode,
was it was a 4 hour competition, and I chose to work on an ostrich egg. Um, and I took 2 ostrich eggs with me just in case. Uh, but just even before I started the competition, while we were placing all the eggs and everything, setting up our workstations, one of the eggs rolled and smashed, and that caused a bit of a drama, which is nice. I say nice because I had another one, but that was the only one I
Jeopardy.
had
It's all about
lost there. Yeah, exactly that. But
great
and
TV.
I had one of the crew member say to me, "Oh, don't worry, if that breaks as well, I might have some random eggshell ostrich egg lying somewhere in the house."
As you
as one
do, as
does,
you do.
as one
Oh,
does.
we've got 20 ostrich eggs in the cupboard. Well, you can have one of ours.
Which is funny, yeah.
So I can't really articulate enough how amazing you are and how these opportunities have not fallen at you. You have made this work for you, but you have put yourself out there when you are still, as you said just before we hit record on this, you're still learning your craft, aren't you? You're
Yeah,
changing and evolving. And
yeah.
how do you get yourself to that next level? So from starting with your business and starting with that initial set of carvings to where you are now, how do you get your inspiration? What learning do you undertake to get better with your job?
So my inspiration comes from my work. And I don't say it lightly, but every eggshell I carve, I fall in love with it every time I lay eyes on it. And I fall head over heels in love with it. And every time I look at these, it's a burning desire in me to bring it out to the world on a bigger scale. So people need to see this. Uh, People need to see this because they're just gorgeous,
They are.
and I absolutely love them. So that's the driving force where I see them now. Like I need to get them out. People need to see them, and that really drives me to push forward with that.
You know what? Your face changed as you were saying that. You could see the passion and the emotion in your face as you were talking about. I think that's and what's something we see a lot, isn't it, in our small businesses? We actually truly. I'm not saying people don't love what they do, but a lot of times it is that kind of actually I love what I do and I want people to know about it, and
Yeah.
which is fine. And the legacy and impact. I've been talking about this quite a lot with a couple of other people this week. The recently it's like actually what do you want? And a few episodes of this, and these are coming out in different orders, but a few episodes have talked about global domination. And I was unpicking global domination with someone, and we actually felt legacy and impact was probably a better kind of definition than because global domination's fine as a headline, but when you get down to the nitty gritty, it's perhaps not the right thing. Whereas legacy and impact, you want to share, you want to make a difference, and everything else is probably more. And you literally want the legacy and impact that can come from your creations.
Absolutely, absolutely. And talking of legacy and impact, I would the dream is to one of the dreams in the part of my journey with the business is to get these two hotels like Claridge's, Ritz, and the Savoy. literally get it there, get it to Harrods. Like the other day, I was working on an egg for a customer as well, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, Harrods are missing out. That's why I caught myself saying that. I would never say that, but I'm like, oh my God, Harrods are
Darling, that's
missing
the
out. I
headline.
need to, I need to, yeah, do this, push this. Harrods are missing out.
I'm just writing that down.
As the table shakes, as you're writing that, darling. But it's an interesting thing, and this is something we've explored a little bit as well. As these big organisations, they are missing out, and you know, we fly the flag for small businesses, and the ability to make those quick decisions, isn't it? And I think in terms of being able to change the direction of where you're going,
Yes.
to think about new lines, to think about what you want to do next, and actually the challenge is not necessarily your work being good enough for the likes of Harrods and Claridge's and insert all the big names of shops. It's just getting in front of the right people and speaking to the right people and
That's
having
it.
those conversations at the right time with the right people, isn't it?
Exactly that. Exactly that. You hit the head on the nail on with that one.
Yeah.
Nail on the head.
So another thing I want to explore with you is that if you weren't doing eggshells, and actually another little one, do you even like eating eggs? Do you eat eggs at home?
I do. I love them.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's not a busman's holiday for you. You know, it's like if you have omelette for dinner, you're like, I do not want to see another egg today.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. That's not happened. You know why? Because now I'm working smart with most of my eggshells and I get it from breeders, independent breeders. I request them to empty the egg out for me because otherwise I'd have a huge mess again, and I don't have time to cook or bake, or I'm not a good baker. So they very kindly empty the eggshells out for me, and I just work on the eggs, and they can work with the yolk and the inside.
Who-
So
I was
that,
just imagining that Sheeba might have omelettes every single day, 3 times a day for breakfast, lunch,
I
and
know.
dinner.
It's like imagine
yeah,
the
they're all.
protein.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
So going back to what I was trying to get out then. So if you weren't doing eggshells, do you still think you'd be working in that kind of luxe industry to help make people smile?
I would. It would be something. I don't know what it would be, but definitely yes. Because working in Harrods has changed the whole perspective with learning about luxury customer service, working in the luxury market. Yeah.
Did you I think you said you got a temp job at Harrods. Is that what you said? And then you stayed there? A
Christmas,
Christmas job.
No,
A
it was a
Christmas.
Christmas temp, and then I started with a Christmas temp job in the pantry for a few weeks, and I was headhunted to the chocolate room then. And then I worked on chocolate room. Then I decided I liked working with people. I enjoy working with people than sitting behind a desk animating in a corner in an office. So I decided to give Harrods a bit more sort of time, work a bit more with Harrods. So that a week or a few weeks went over to a few years.
Yeah. Can I just once again, I think you're being blasé about some key parts here, Sheeba. You just said I was headhunted for the Harrods chocolate department, right? We have a friend, I won't mention his name because he's quite private, and his CV has 3 companies on it, okay? And the companies he has on his CV are McLaren, followed by Ferrari, followed by Apple.
Wow,
That's it. That's his entire working career.
brilliant.
He's who we talk about, right? When we talk about people having cool jobs and everything else, he's who we talk about. Until you just said, I got headhunted by the Harrods chocolate department. That's now my headline story whenever I'm sharing this.
What do you think it is about you so that got you into that next role within Harrods? You know, to be headhunted to get into that next team. What is in your personality or in your makeup for how you work? What is it that people see in you?
I think I'm very tenacious, like you said. I give 100% to everything I do, um, regardless of what it is and whether it is something I want to do or like to do. But if I'm doing it, I'll give it 100%. Um, yeah, I think that would be
Is
it.
is there a reason you give 100%? You know, is it just kind of one of those things, or does that hark back to something beforehand?
I think it's the way you've been brought up as well. Like I've seen mom and dad and the way they work, and I think that's what subconsciously consciously has been instilled in me. But I just yeah, it is. when I'm working on something or doing something, I'll be like, okay, whether you like it or not, you're here now. Just give it your 100%. If you're doing it, do it properly. Do it in the
Absolutely.
best way possible. And then, you know, because if there's no point of doing something half-heartedly and then not doing it properly, and then, what's the point?
Yeah, I totally agree. I was running this morning, and I find myself. I used to work for Best Buy when Best Buy from the States came over to the UK. I was part of the team working for
Yeah,
them, and they had some really cool values. The only value I can remember is have fun whilst being the best, right?
yeah,
and
100%.
and that really sits with me like almost every day, to the extent that I want to use that as my values, but it's kind of Best Buys. Of course I can use it, but you know what I mean. I'm not going to put it out there. And I think that's what I get from you. You're talking about, I'm going to have a lot of fun. I'm absolutely, I'm in chocolate, I'm making eggs, and there is fun, but actually not at the compromise of being the best at when I do it.
That's also a very brave move, because like you were, you went 2 feet into your education with the animation there, and then to then be brave enough to say, nope,
I don't
not for
want to do it.
me. That's
I know,
that hard, right?
it was
Or was
very
it?
hard. And then,
Yeah.
sorry, go on.
I was like, or was it hard, or was it an easy decision?
It is very hard. It took me quite a few years to admit to after my father passed away, to admit to myself that I really didn't want to do animation, because I know there was a lot of money gone into it and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
hard work gone into it, years gone into it, and he was my biggest mom and dad were my biggest supporters, and he wanted me to really achieve my dreams. And it took me quite a few years after he passed away to admit to myself that I don't want to do it, because I was ashamed. I was like, all that hard work and money down the drain. That's what I was thinking at that time, and I was dragging on along to do like with the job, animation job. Did it still give my best, but it was still my heart was not in there, and it was a point where I was like, yeah, no, I'm not feeling this, and I just like, okay, I'm not gonna drag it any further.
Hold on. Let's just cover this off. So there's a break in the podcast. We are going to carry this on, okay? Because it's fascinating listening to Sheeba, and she, So yeah, let's carry it on.
I'm curious to know, what was your family business?
So my father was a mechanical engineer. He This was back in India, and he made uh, railway parts for the Indian Railways.
Wow.
So it was big end walls and bogie bolsters and a lot of parts for the Indian Railways and tractors.
And tractors.
Very cool.
And I just think it's again, I come from a family business background as well, and those things that you do get instilled in you, and also you see the highs and the lows of it. Do you see, as a business owner yourself now, because you are a business owner, as we said, a creative business owner there, what do you recognise from your childhood and watching your parents that you kind of see happening in real time now, that you can kind of almost empathise with the challenges that they might have had?
It's hard work. I've worked in Harrods, and I'll just say I do have a part-time job with Dyson at the minute as well while I'm doing my business. So I work on weekends with them. I've seen both sides of the table, and the challenges that come with working for yourself is it's non-stop, it's 24/7, whereas you switch off after a good shift, like 8-hour shift, when you're working with Dyson or Harrods or wherever. But when you're working for yourself, I'm never switched off. I'm like, whether I'm on the train, I'm editing captions for reels and blogging, I'm writing, I'm always my brain is always on. Even the only time it sleeps is when I'm sleeping, and then even then I'm dreaming about what I want to achieve and stuff, so it's never ever stopping.
And that right there is a prime example of someone who's got a vocation.
Yeah.
That's a full-on vocation. That's not just a job you have. That's your God-given talent and what you should be doing in the world. And that's kind of exciting, right?
It is very exciting.
Ooh, I love it. I love it.
So
I love
Sheeba,
when sorry, go on.
no, please carry on.
I love it when people see my work for the first time. Just total strangers see my work for the first time, and they go like, "Wait, what? What is this?" And they're like so surprised that it's an eggshell, and they can't believe themselves. The look on their faces is just makes it so much more better for me.
But that takes us back to the absolute beginning when we asked what you were trying to achieve. You said you wanted to make people smile. So,
Exactly that.
you know, it absolutely bookends the chat. And on that bad boy.
And as we bookend it, we're going to finish with our final question. Again, the same question that we ask all of our guests here. So, Sheeba, I mean, you're quite a young spring chicken as it is anyway, but if you could go back to your younger self at any point in time and put an arm around yourself and give yourself one bit of advice about the future, what would that be?
No matter what happens, you're going to be all right.
That's a common thread with a lot of people.
It's so true,
trusting in the process, trusting the process, and know that you're going to be okay the other side of it.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sheeba, I know you were quite nervous about coming on this recording today. You had no reason to be. You are absolutely fascinating. We've absolutely loved hearing your story. So thank you very much.
Well, it is a fascinating story, isn't it? It's like going all in, tenacity. There's so many elements to kind of take away from it. Yeah. And then the creative side as well.
And FYI, Claridge's, Harrods, if you're listening, you know what to do.
You're missing out.
You are.
They're going to be sliding into your DMs soon, Sheeba, no doubt.
And with that, we're going to slide into our exit.
Thank you, everyone, for slide into our exit.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we will see you again next time on the Digital Circus Live.
Thank you. Bye, Sheeba. Bye.